with the Unstuck Business. I am your host, Rob Z, and the Unstuck Business is all about helping you elevate your business. Whatever it is that you might be doing, everybody can benefit from having more clients, having the right clients come to them. And that's why, and being able to find those right clients too, right? So I wanted to bring on an amazing digital marketer. Mr. Bill Dietz of West Coast Media is in the house with us today. Bill, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Rob. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. So this is a great topic because digital marketing obviously is nothing new, but continues to grow, expand, and finding the right people and finding the right strategies is always a super important thing because you got to find the right people to be effective, to execute, to get your business to where you want it to be online. So today we're going to talk about targeting the right clients in large numbers, and that's something that you are an expert at. So let's just off the bat right here, talk a little bit about what you do in West Coast Media and what you're all about.
Well, we're all about targeting. We're all about really drilling down to that niche audience that our client wants to attract. And we use the most targeted type of tactics available, one of which is called Geo-Fencing. And Geo-Fencing allows us to do a number of different things. We've got two different types of Geo-Fencing that we do. The first one is called standard Geo-Fencing. And what that allows us to do is to target our clients' top prospects when they walk into nearby competitor locations. So when you think about it, you've got two things going for you when you're targeting that audience. You know those people are in the area and they're going to your competitor who offers the same product or service that you do. So it doesn't get a whole lot better than that in terms of high quality prospects. And what we can do is when people walk into those locations, we're able to secure their mobile device because we geofence those locations. And once we do that, we can serve video and display ads to those customers of your competitor. And we can do it from the time that they walk in, and we can continue to do it for a full 30-day period. Because let's face it, everybody's busy. So we want to make sure we're consistent with our messaging and our targeting of these people, because we want to get them at the right time. And we also want to, hit them along the entire customer journey to really make sure we're getting the message through. And so that's one type of geofencing that we do. Now, in addition, we do what's called addressable geofencing. And we partner with some of the biggest research companies out there, including Dun & Bradstreet, Nielsen, Axiom, Oracle, Trade Desk. And what each of those companies do is they monitor our actions 24/7. So as a result, they've got an enormous amount of data, and that data is updated on a monthly basis. So it's always reliable and accurate. So what we do is each one of those research companies provides us with a long list of data points. So in total, we have access to over 3,000 data points. And when I mention a data point, what I'm talking about is age, education, ethnicity, net worth, household income. We even know the square footage of people's houses. We know what they owe on their mortgage. We know what credit cards they're using. We know how many kids they have, how old their kids are. You get the idea. All we have to do is agree with our client on a short list of 5 data points that would describe their absolute top prospects, and then we can target that audience exclusively. So those are our two, go-to tactics that we use for geofencing.
It's incredible what can be done these days, right? It's incredible the amount of information is out there. And as far as you finding the right people, the ideal people that you want to work with, it's incredible how hyper targeted it can be. And I first of all, I just, I'm always like blown away. I spent a number of years in the digital marketing space, and the advancements and how it keeps growing and expanding is amazing. Now, geofencing is nothing new. Obviously, it's been around for a while. It keeps getting more precise. It keeps getting more intricate and more accurate, right? So how have you seen, and I'm curious just from the time that I got out of it to where I am now, how have you seen geofencing grow and become better over the past couple of years? What has gotten specifically better about it?
Well, it's just a whole lot more accurate than it was. It also can be scaled a whole lot on a much greater basis. We also can really pinpoint specific locations. If we needed to, we could actually target a 25 square foot area. So for example, if somebody wanted to target contractors that are going into Home Depot, we could literally target the door that they walk into.
Wow.
This way we're not hitting the general public. And so again, we want to make sure that whatever area, whatever geofence we put up for that location, we want to make sure that a very high percentage of the people would be prospects for our client.
That's amazing. You can target a 20-foot square patch that you can target
Right.
directly to.
Absolutely.
Absolutely amazing, man. So I'm thinking, you know, talking to many businesses out there, and I know you work with all different kinds of businesses, correct? So do you limit yourself to any industries?
Oh, no, we're pretty much across the board. You know, healthcare is big for us. Financial is big. Anybody who goes to a trade show, wow, we've got a really good solution for them too. Because I've talked to a number of trade show vendors, and it's amazing. But the majority of them, when I asked them a very simple question, the question was, what percentage of the attendees at these trade shows that you participate in actually make it around to your booth? And the answer across the board, you know, wait for it, is 1%. Okay. So compare that to our ability to target up to 95% of the attendees by securing their mobile device when they walk into that location.
Yeah, that's incredible. What a huge advantage. And I would imagine, I'm always thinking, like, you know, one of the best industries is real estate, right? And I know a lot of real estate agents who are heavily involved in social media, who are always trying to, obviously everybody's trying to increase their revenue, but real estate is usually very cutthroat, and people are really going after it in that industry. How do you help real estate agents? What's something you do for them?
Well, my best suggestion to realtors is to do this. You want to target people who are obviously in market to buy a house. In many cases, you want sellers as well, but to target people who are actually buying is a great solution. What you do is you target new housing developments, because the people who walk into new housing developments, let's face it, they're not going there just for the heck of it. A great percentage of them are going there because they're considering buying a house. So that's our go-to tactic as far as working with realtors. Again, we've got access to the other tactic I mentioned, addressable geofencing. So we can also target people, because we know who's in the market for a home just based on their online actions. So, you know, we're able to target people who are planning to buy within the next 90 days, for example. So those are some of the tactics. Now, one thing a lot of realtors suggest, maybe we can target open houses. We'd love to do that, and it would work great, except for one problem. It's just too fickle. Those open houses get canceled, they get scheduled last minute, et cetera. So we just don't recommend that.
It's really interesting too, just hearing, and I'm very curious about this, because the strategy behind what you do is so huge, right? Because a lot of people use digital marketing. I imagine almost every single company is using digital marketing in some way, shape, or form. But your strategy right there, like with Home Depot, to know which door to target when it comes to real estate, you know, thinking outside of the box of like, where am I supposed to be targeting to find the right people? How has that evolved over your time running West Coast Media? Because I think these are some of the things you think about geofencing. Oh, sure, I'm gonna, you know, if I have a competitor, I'm a convenience store, and I have competitors who go into another convenience store. I target the stores, but the way you seem to narrow that down is much more specific, and really takes a level of expertise that I imagine takes a long time to develop. How have you developed that skill over the years? How have you transformed that in your business as far as knowing exactly who to go after?
Well, what we like to do is we like to closely monitor each of our campaigns. So what we do is we build a custom digital dashboard for each client, so we can see what's performing well and what's not. And it's like the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all out there, because we use a third party for that digital dashboard, because clearly you don't want a marketer controlling their own dashboard. And so as a result, we're able to see, you know, for example, which ads are being clicked on, what type of locations are working best for different business verticals, et cetera. So over time, we've been able to compile, you know, a great many case studies, and we basically just know what works. And there are a number of different things. I mentioned briefly the keywords that we use. The keywords are also a big part of it. because we're able to see which ones are working best for each industry. And therefore, when we do a secondary campaign, maybe for a different company within that same business vertical, what we'll do is we'll take a look and see what's worked in the past. And so a lot of our clients really are not that adept at compiling a list of keywords, but we can do it for them just because of the fact we've worked with so many different companies in so many different verticals.
I love that, man, because that expertise over time piles up into you being incredible at what you do. So I love to hear that, because diving into, and I'm sure you've seen this from many people that you've worked with who've tried to do digital marketing on their own. There's so many different things you can dive into. There's so many different areas that you can choose to focus on, right? It's very hard to decide, like, where do I put my attention? Where do I allocate my money and my resources and my time? What made you decide? Now, of course, you guys do more than just geofencing, I would imagine.
Right.
But what made you focus on geofencing? Why did you know that was the sweet spot? And why should other business owners focus more on geofencing?
Well, we just knew that it was accepted widely as quite possibly the single most targeted tactic out there. And let's face it, people don't have unlimited budgets. And the truth is, across all business verticals, if you're lucky, 3% of the people out there would even consider whatever it is you're selling. So there really is no point to really spend your budget on the other 97%. So that, first and foremost, is why we lead with geofencing, because of its targeting capabilities. Now, I mentioned keywords earlier. Now, what we do with regard to keywords is when people search those keywords, we'll put them into the prospect pool. In addition, if they're reading online content that includes those keywords, same thing, we'll put them into the prospect pool, and then we'll serve ads to them across over 2 million vetted websites and 700,000 apps. So we've got a huge ability to reach en masse a very niche audience. And that really is a big part of what we do. And there are other tactics, by the way. I'll just mention one other one real quickly at this point, and then we can maybe touch on others as we move forward. But we also use what's called site retargeting. And this is a really important tactic, because the truth is 97% of the people that go to your website are going to leave without taking any action. Now, if you don't do anything about it, if you're lucky, maybe 3% will come back to your website. But with this tactic, we have been able to, on average, get 26% of those people who have been to your website to return to your website.
What is that tactic?
It's called site retargeting.
Site retargeting.
And it's pretty simple. What we do is our team creates a pixel, which is placed on your website. And from that day forward, no matter how people got to your website, it could be word of mouth, it could be a different marketing campaign that you were running, we'll be able to target them again across over the 2 million websites and 700,000 apps. It's really just a matter of where they physically go to, where they go to online.
And so the other piece of this, of course, finding the people is very important, because you have to have the right people, but targeting the ad or crafting the ad to make sure it's right for the target audience is
right.
the glue that makes everything stick and that makes the buying process happen, to lead to the landing page, the website, to the funnel that leads them through the process. What's some advice you can give to some business owners out there to make sure they're crafting the right ads? Are there certain strategies that maybe could be used across multiple industries? Are there certain tricks that tips that you've learned over the years that have been really effective? I know it's kind of a broad question, but I'm curious,
Sure.
like stuff that could work for different industries.
Well, what we do is, in almost every instance, I would say 98% of cases, we'll actually create the ads for our client. There are some clients that have and right now I'm talking about display ads. For display ads, a lot of clients have it. They're ready to go. They work for a big company, et cetera. But the majority don't. So we need to create them for them. Now, the whole key with those ads would be to have a message, an image rather, that really grabs your attention first and foremost, and just a very limited amount of text. You really want to quickly get to the point as to what the benefit would be for any prospective customer.
Are there certain specific things in those images that attract people more than others?
Well, yeah, certainly. And again, it's going to vary by vertical. But what you want to do is you really want to put your best foot forward. Like, for example, if you're a Ford dealer, what you want to do is you want to lead with your best. You want to lead, with the Ford trucks. You don't want to try to, push Ford Focus on people who may not be as interested. Because if you get people focused on what you do best and what will be of the most interest, you'll get people down to the dealership. And then guess what? As a result, maybe they'll end up buying different vehicles, but at least you got as many people as possible to the dealership to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And as far as like running those ads, what platforms are you mostly using? Are you focusing on Facebook, on YouTube? Where do you find the most success?
No, actually, we simply run on websites and apps.
Okay.
Because companies like Facebook and Google, they're in their own silo. You basically, any client that advertises with them would be paying them directly. With us, you're basically paying our company directly, and then we're paying the demand side platforms, we're paying the websites, paying the apps, etc. So it's, again, we make it simple, because if anybody were to try to go out there and put those ads individually on different websites and apps, it would not be doable.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you bypass social media altogether.
Right. We've found that it's really best to stay in your own lane with any type of marketing that you're doing. And for us, it's just strictly about being as targeted as we can, and also as efficient as we can, because our team works remotely. So we're able to easily undercut the big guys in terms of pricing. We don't have to worry about real estate or an HR department or accounting, et cetera. We basically just give our clients the best possible rates. In addition, what we do is, obviously we take a very targeted approach, but we also do something that the big companies that I worked for over the years never did, and that is really concentrate on conversions. Honestly, I won't even mention the companies I've worked for in my career, but I never once heard the word conversion at any of them. And this was in both broadcast and cable TV ad sales management. So what I do is I actually partner with a company that builds websites and landing pages that are literally designed to convert prospects into customers. So what they have is, when you get there are ways to provide any prospect with additional information. It could be videos, testimonials, FAQs, any number of different things. But in addition, we use an autoresponder. So what happens is, if we're able to secure somebody's phone number or their email, we will send them a series of follow-up marketing messages on behalf of our client, basically just to keep that marketing message in front of them and to try to, again, move them along the customer journey and ultimately convert them into a client.
See, this is fascinating to me, because I think I'm in a different demographic where I've never clicked on an ad from an app, right? So for me, that it blows my mind. I'm curious about your conversion rates, right? So I'm curious, like, where do you see the most conversions from websites, from apps? Because I guess maybe I'm outside of the sphere of that, and I guess if I saw the right ad, I probably would click on it. But where do you see the conversions come from? Is there a certain platforms, like as far as apps go, or I guess two questions. Whenever you're running these ads and you're putting them on apps, is it sending it out to just a multitude of different kinds of apps, or are these apps specifically chosen for the industry the ads being run to?
No, it's totally up to the prospect. It's wherever they go. Okay. I mean, if somebody, let's say our client owns a hardware store, and let's say a customer walks into the competing Ace Hardware down the street. Well, once we have identified that person as a prospect, we're going to target them wherever they go, to any website or any app. Of course, they're vetted websites, so everything's above board. But if a person happens to be into fly fishing and knitting, so be it. That's their thing. We're going to target them once they go to a website. But you brought up a really good point earlier about the fact that you really don't personally click on digital ads. Guess what? You're in the majority by not doing that. And a lot of marketers won't tell you that, but I will. What happens is this: only 8% of the population is comfortable clicking on digital ads. So what happens is the other 92%, if they see an ad that they're interested in, they're going to go directly to your website, or they're going to do a search based on your business name and location. That's what I do. That's what you do. That's what most people do. Now, the important thing is this. Our digital dashboard can only capture so many things. Once somebody does a search, we're kind of off the grid because all of a sudden now we've put an ad in front of them. They're interested, but now they want to do a Google search and learn more.
Mm-hmm.
But what we ask our clients to do is to really closely analyze their Google Analytics, because they are going to see numbers that are going to, wow them. I had one client who, after 1 month on our platform, he actually stood up in a meeting that we had with a number of other companies. We just happened to be in the same group. And he said that in 1 month, his number of website visitors, which had averaged 200 per month for many years, jumped to 1,500.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And then what he did is he provided his Google Analytics to our team, and we had them take a really close look at it. And they determined that 95% of the activity on his website was driven by the campaign that he was running with us.
Amazing, man. Really, really cool. It's so powerful. And it's really interesting how you just said most people don't click on those ads. And I guess it goes back to the philosophy of advertising, that it takes, between 6 and 20 touches of somebody seeing or hearing about you before they take action. So when you're getting in front of them in a bunch of different ways, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to click right on that ad and go directly to the website, but it's going to keep them top of mind for you. And top of mind is everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, marketing 101 is to ensure that when people are in the market for your product or service, that you're the first one that they think of. It really is that simple. So it's important with any type of marketing that one does to be consistent with it, because otherwise what you do is you get people maybe halfway or 3/4 of the way through the customer journey. They're really interested, but they're just not quite ready yet, because let's face it, people buy when they're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what happens is, if a client gets impatient and let's say they pause their campaign, then that person, all of a sudden, they're saying, you know what, I wanted to go out and buy that particular vehicle. I just can't remember which one, what the name of it was, or whatever that product was. And then they're like, well, you know what, I'll just take a look at something else instead. And they're basically just, those clients are basically leaving money on the table because of the fact that they've, left their prospects who they've nurtured part of the way through, they've left them hanging, basically.
It's fascinating. It's really fascinating, and just kind of, it's mind blowing, honestly, how technical and how innovative the advertising world has become. And geofencing is, like, I feel at the front of that as far as physically targeting places. Now online, obviously targeting when somebody goes to a website and retargeting them, but the fact that you're targeting people when they walk into a store, walk into certain very tight locations is just, it's amazing to me. And as we come to the close of this, I'm curious, just for you as a human being, as a marketer, how has it changed the way that you buy? How has it changed the way that you've seen advertising? How has it changed the way that you look at that whole landscape? Because I know for me, I look at all advertising and marketing completely different, being in that world for a number of years. How do you approach that world now? Do you not pay as much attention to it, or are you constantly perusing everything that you see, like, analyzing all of the different ads you see and thinking about when you're out somewhere, how soon am I going to get the ad targeted to my phone? How has it changed you?
Well, what's interesting is, I talk to a lot of prospects every day, and some of them, when they learn how much access we have to them and to data about them, they say, boy, that's a little bit creepy. But here's the thing. Think about it. The more information that we have in terms of what your likes and dislikes are, the more relevant the ads are going to be that we're going to serve to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've talked to people and I've asked them to, put themselves into the shoes of a consumer. And then they all of a sudden start nodding. They're saying, yeah, that makes sense, because I don't mind being served ads for things that I might be interested in purchasing. So that's how it is from that standpoint. But from the advertiser's standpoint, why would you want to serve ads again to anybody who's not going to be a prospective customer? I mean, again, you're really going after only 3% of the population on a good day, because that's it in terms of who's going to be interested in what it is that you offer.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. You know, this is a weird thing that I do, but I saw a podcast a while ago, and a guy, uh, to avoid snoring and also to get better sleep, he was putting band-aids like over his mouth to like tape his mouth shut while he
Right.
slept. So I started doing this, right? And I don't recall ever looking it up online. I don't recall ever researching it. I just watched the podcast and was like, oh, I'll try that. And it worked well for me. So I kept doing it. And then recently I started getting ads for like these custom, I don't know, I forget what they're called, tape. I forget the names of what they have, like fancy names for they go over your lips. And I'm like, I never even searched for that. Like the fact that I watched the podcast, I don't know what it was, but it was exactly what I like. That's a pretty small niche audience that is taping their mouth shut at night. Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, cool. So I bought those because I was like, man, that was so hyper targeted to me. It like blew my mind.
Oh yeah. I mean, my wife one day wanted me to look for blueberry pancakes online for her. And for a full month, I was getting served ads from different companies that sell blueberry pancakes.
Right. Yeah.
So,
cool. Well, Bill, great talking to you. Great information. Thank you for sharing this. If people want to get a hold of you and they want to find out more about West Coast Media and have a conversation with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, our website is westcoastmedia.us. And my email address is bill@westcoastmedia.us. And my phone number is 916-432-7227.
Awesome, brother. Bill, I appreciate you on the West Coast jumping on this call early in your day. And I appreciate what you do, man. Thank you for being a part of the Unstuck business. Have an awesome day.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. You too.